And welcome to Entombed Valley, ladies and gentlemen. And here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have our red Protoss player from the team. It's Gosu. Their ace, it is Hwangsin. And his opponent in the lower right-hand corner of the map, the man who's been destroying Gosu players left and right. It's Complexity QXE.
That's right, but will he be able to keep up the streak? That's the question. I mean, he's played so well already. In fact, I would actually put him on our list of top kills that we saw earlier in the broadcast. He's actually right up there with everybody else now. So if he gets a fourth, that's going to put him way higher up on those rankings, too. That's a nice spot to be in. But Hwangsin is a great PvT player. He's also picked a great map as well. Entombed Valley is a great PvT map, and for a lot of reasons, actually. One is because of the varied builds you can do on this map. It's a great map for 2-base builds. It's a great map for turtling and going very late game as well.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want on this map. As a Protoss player. Anything your heart desires, anything you can imagine.
But I want to do so many things. I want to see the world.
All your wildest dreams can come true if you're a Protoss player on Entombed Valley.
I suppose so.
It's true.
But we'll see what Hwangsin has up his sleeve. A guy who can go between a lot of very different builds and a very dynamic player to watch as well. There I am using the word dynamic again.
Dynamically using it.
Yes, dynamically using the word dynamic.
In many different situations.
Yeah, I mean, Hwangsin can very easily switch up between very strong 2-base play, quick Colossus pushes, things like that, but then can also just flip a switch and go into intense, very long macro games as well.
Yeah, there's kind of two schools of Protoss play in Korea to a certain extent. There's what I would call, and I'm going to break them. I've never labeled them before, but I'll do it this way, just because I think it's easier to understand. One school is, we'll call it the MC school of Protoss. A lot of 2-base all-ins, a lot of very micro-intensive stuff, a lot of killing your opponent early, right? Then you've also got what I'll call, for lack of a better term on the moment, it's going to be the Creator Prime School, a very slow, passive style of PvT. And Hwangsin definitely originally came from that more MC style of PvT. He loved his 2-base all-ins. He loved to get in there and micro some units and kind of rely on his control to get wins. But as time has gone on, he's kind of become a more well-rounded Protoss player. He's been able to incorporate a lot of those longer macro builds, too, and that's going to make him a dangerous opponent for QXE. Because QXE is going to need to be very diligent with his scouting to see, speaking of scouting, Hwangsin trying to scout that second base, but he does not.
Yeah, QXE very smartly keeping that SCV behind the mineral line so he could drop down the command center as soon as that probe went down. And then as soon as that happened, he decided to drop down the command center. So Hwangsin, on the other hand, is sitting comfortably on 1 gas, already finished up with his cybernetics core as well. So he'll be looking for a quick expansion here. And the engineering bay, QXE very fond of delaying expansions as long as possible and will effectively do so because that engineering bay accumulates HP so quickly.
Yeah, that will take a long time, too, for Hwangsin to kill. A stalker and a probe don't do damage terribly quickly, and that will really delay that nexus. There you go. So he does have warp gate research on the way, so it's not like he went for any sort of really crazy fast nexus and didn't even get his cyber core up or anything. So it could be worse, but it does give QXE a little bit of an advantage in the economy department.
And QXE now adding on barracks number 2 and 3. We've seen how his PvT, or his TVP, I should say, style has played out earlier against Yata. This was the same sort of idea what he was going for after the strong 2 racks opening. He wanted to commit to very strong bio play. Yata didn't give him the ability to commit to that for a long time. Ended up a little bit over aggressive with those blink stalkers.
Now, I believe on that game too, QXE went for 4 barracks, right? And this game he's actually going for 3.
Well,
so
on that one, he knew his
time,
opponent was going for a stronger 1-base play, so wanted to make sure that he was able to deflect it.
Yep, and QXE too, I mean, he's one of those Terran players that likes that 4-barrack style of play too. He likes to get a lot of bio units out there to micro with and things like that, but we'll have to see what he goes for next. I would imagine it's going to be a factory and then the Metavax. That's the most common thing you see in TVP, but this map, I feel like you do have the ability, if you want to go for those really, really fast ghost pushes as well, just because there is a high rate of Protoss players going for fast Templar on this map in general. Hwangsin doesn't appear to be doing this, but QXC may kind of have that in the back of his mind. That Templar really quickly off of 2 bases may be a possibility.
And it looks like he is going to go down the medevac route.
Yes.
The factory is already started right now. We'll see how quickly he throws down an engineering bay and wants to commit to +1 weapons as well. Wongson, on the other hand, that double forge style. So you were talking about the 2 separate styles. It looks like he's going to favor that Creator Prime double forge. Slower play, still move up to Colossi, but really concentrate on upgrades and then move into a third base along with a big push later in the game.
We had to give him a hard time for a number of months to get him to finally start playing differently. Like, come on, Wongson, make a third base. Make a third base, man. Come on. But he is like actually one of the nicest pro gamers I've met, too. He's like so easy to work with. He's a really cool guy. His English is starting to get pretty decent, too.
Cool.
But yeah, really, really hard-working player, too. I mean, when Diablo 3 came out, he was like, I'm not playing Diablo 3. I'm going to keep playing StarCraft. It's like him and Poke Bunny, I think, on It's Gosu, where the I'm not
calling
like
out
outing
the rest of your teammates.
I know I'm calling. I you know, to a certain extent, I can't do that because I played Diablo a lot as well.
Yeah,
I did get a bit Diablo distracted, Diabstracted, I guess you could say. Dabstracted.
Yeah, I did as well.
I don't know, but
I'm a lowly level.
I gotta hand it
right
to
now,
Wongson and Poke Bunny. I'm shouting you guys out for being the strong members of It's Gosu. If I've missed anyone, definitely let me know. But those 2 guys did not play Diablo 3. They kept playing StarCraft 2, and they will be better players because of it.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
I am playing lots and lots.
Me
and
too.
Lots of
Yeah.
Diablo.
Although I hit 60 last night, so I feel like my obligation to the game is over.
Ah.
You know, now I can just pop on and play Inferno with friends whenever I want to. Now I can like really get back to SC2 practice, which I'm pretty excited about.
See, I can't wait to get to Inferno and start farming things. Well, QXC clearly knows that the observer is overhead, and looks like he's letting Wongson know that as well. Yep. Always keeping his units in position. Doesn't really have anything to hide. This is as standard as Terran can be at this stage of the game.
Right.
Strong bio play, upgrades coming along as well. Really committing over to a number of Marauders, making sure he gets those up nice and early. He has not seen too much out of his opponent, to be honest. So didn't know that he was favoring that stronger upgrade style. But of course, we know this is a little bit slower play, but it's still going to result in a very nice 6-gate robo with Colossi build.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But let's take a look at things real quick. Everyone talks about the strength of Terran in the mid-game. Here you have a very typical Terran mid-game push, right? 2 medevacs, a bunch of bio, and you have a very typical Protoss mid-game. Heavy upgrades, lower unit count. Look at the supply. That's not because Terran is stronger in the mid-game. That's because Protoss is going for a lot of fast upgrades instead of army at this point. So
smart decision
something
on
to kind
this.
of keep in mind.
Super smart decision on this map as well. Given the walk distances, the reinforcement distance gives Wongson a lot more options to defend with that lower unit count. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. But I want to make my point very clear that Protoss is not necessarily as weak intrinsically as a race in the mid-game. It's just the style Protoss prefer to play right now.
Oh, no.
Sorry, I'm like beating that to death lately, but I just feel like people don't get it.
No, I think that this is the best opportunity for Terrans in this matchup to do damage right here, though. This is when they are the strongest, before all of those upgrades kick in. For Protoss. The way Wongson's preparing, though, is magnificent. I mean, he's going to be able to shut down the medevacs pretty early on. If he pulls some units back out of position, though, QXC will have an opportunity to run right up the gut.
It's possible. He's going to have to use those sentries well, and, QXC looking like he wants to run up that ramp.
That's right. But Wongson's his units are getting much, much stronger. I mean, the moment of opportunity is kind of past, and it looks like QXC knows it. Yep. He's moving back now. Wongson was just too well prepared for that eventual push and had units stationed everywhere. So his upgrades are coming along. Interesting, though, that he didn't go over to 2-2 until just now, actually. He decided to invest in the other upgrades, the Charge, the Extended Thermal Lance, the second Colossus, before ever starting 2-2. If that was Creator, 2-2 would be about halfway finished now.
Yeah, he'd probably also have a third base as well. Wongson feeling that pressure and not really able to get that third base going quite as quick as he wants to, so that will kind of slow down some of the upgrades. Probably going to try to take that fairly soon here. We'll see. I mean, he could just be going as well for a 2-2 Colossus push as well. I mean, it is possible, but I think he probably wants to take a third, and that would certainly indicate it right there.
All right. Well, Destructible Rocks are going to go down here in a second. This factory is blocking and will be an annoyance for a few seconds, but it'll have to be lifted and brought out of there. Of course, it'll give QXC the perfect knowledge he needs of when that base is coming up.
That Marine's really going to wish he could jump into that factory in a second.
Get out of there, Marine! Go!
Oh, if he kills that probe, that'll be so cool, man.
Look at this!
Wow. Making every Marine count. QXC.
No kidding.
Wow.
That was cool. All right. So he effectively denies that base now for another pretty decent length of time, just by having good control and due diligence on that one Marine.
It's not bad at all, and he's being active on the map, too, still playing so well. That new practice schedule may be paying off a little bit.
Well, it certainly has. 3 games won in a row
already.
Look at
this.
And looks like he will be able to continue to deny this base for a little while. Backs up now, finally, as he will lose a bunch of units if he continues to commit to this, as Hwang Sin has a very nice prepared position.
Yeah. Hwang Sin's so solid right now. I mean, he's down on supply because he's going for all the upgrades, all the teching and stuff, but those 3 Colossi plus the Bioforces plus the ramp that he's up is really going to make it difficult for QXC to attack. Ooh, Hwang Sin, though, getting a bit aggressive.
That's right, yeah, and QXC has to pull back now. So, I mean, Hwang Sin is just in such a good spot. I mean, 2 upgrades just about to finish up now for him. QXC obviously much later to those. He's trying to add on some Ghosts and a second starport for now. He already does have 7 Vikings out there with +1 upgrades on the way.
Well, that's interesting. I'm actually a little bit surprised that he's putting a priority on the Ghosts like that, especially if he knows that his opponent is kind of going heavily for Colossi. I'm curious why he's doing that instead of throwing down an armory to get his 2-2 going. That's a curious thing. I'd be interested in asking him about that. But as things stand now, I mean, Hwang Sin doesn't look like he really wants to be all that aggressive, so QXC may have a little bit of time, but if he waits for too much longer, the upgrades are going to play a big role in those big fights that happen a little bit later in the game. All
right. Well, QXC rolling out with a few more units now. And as we can see, workers heavily favoring QXC at the moment. Hwang Sin really just cutting down to exactly what he needs at any given point in time. Now, when he eventually does max, that means he's actually going to be up an additional 14 supply just in terms of sheer army. And then as soon as I say that, he starts reproducing his probes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what you can do as Protoss a lot of times, too, is you can stop, and kind of cut probes. Protoss players a lot of times will cut probes at various points in their builds. And if you've got that third base a little bit delayed, like Hwang Sin was kind of in that position, this game he can kind of stop probe production for a little bit, then chrono boost a lot out really, really fast and saturate it really quickly. So should catch up very, very soon, have that nice saturated third base. QXC has his third base as well, so still a very even game so far, although the upgrades, it's all about the upgrades. Hwang Sin is going to be way ahead. 3-3 is getting pretty close to finishing.
Well, QXC does have a pretty good bank of resources, and he's being nice and diligent about taking his 4th base as well. And looks like he's going to put a planetary fortress on there. Oh, Hwang Sin does barely just catch a glimpse of that, so he'll know exactly when that's coming up. He himself is putting down a 4th base as well.
Yep. And Hwang Sin coming in, kind of an awkward angle for QXC. Oh, the Zealot's getting a little bit aggressive. The blink ahead. Will it be a good engagement? The upgrades playing a big role here.
That's right. QXC just on 1-1. Hwang Sin already gone 2-2. A lot of the Zealots did engage a kind of a funny angle, though.
The Colossi.
And, one of the Colossi does go down. A second may fall here in a second as well. Many of those went down to Vikings before. Hwang Sin has to get out of there and loses a lot of his very expensive sentries. Not a good angle of attack there, and QXC is able to take the engagement.
Yeah, it looked a little bit awkward for QXC at first, but the fact that Hwang Sin pursued it, QXC, all he needs to do is pull back slightly, get that nice concave, and Hwang Sin kind of fell into a bit of a trap there. QXC way ahead on supply, but I think he's getting a little bit too aggressive here, actually.
Yeah, this is a little bit questionable decision as Hwang Sin's starting to warp in behind him now. That's a lot of charge lots there, and QXC is going to get everything torn up. So what was initially a very high supply advantage is now falling. Medevac gets away with 6 hit points.
Wow, and a few units left inside, but QXC turning a great situation into basically a wash here as he kind of just trades right back with Hwang Sin. Hwang Sin moving across the map now too, so and you see this sometimes in TVP. Both players get really, really aggressive, and then you see a lot of inefficient trading as you go into the late game. Hwang Sin pulling back now. Yeah.
He's
interesting rally.
Yeah, I'm just watch. I was intending to watch this for like 5 seconds. Okay. They just kind of kept walking.
All right. Well, QXC, with that counterattack not going so well, has kind of even things out. That supply lead that he had is gone. His upgrade lead it's never there in the first place.
Right.
He is catching up at this point, but the game will certainly progress very evenly from this point. Either player having a chance to win again.
Just 8 barracks for now. Surprised he's not continuing to reinvest back into his infrastructure in that way. He is throwing on a lot of additional command centers, so he eventually can get to the point where he's able to cut SEVs and just really rely on mules for all of his economy from here on out. As it stands, though, he is remaxing pretty quickly, but now Hwang Sin has built up a fairly decent number of Colossi once again. No Templar along with this quite yet, but as soon as I say that, 6 get warped in all at once.
Yep, that's right, and he could do a lot of things with those Templar. He could just kind of leave them sit and build up a lot of energy for a ton of storms, or if he feels some pressure, he can turn them all into Archons and have a nice, big, strong, like 3-3 Archon group to add to his army as well. So, good timing for those Templars. There's the Warp Prism as well. Oops, got canceled. There's a Colossi, so a little bit of a misclick there.
That's right.
But either way, Huangson getting that really strong late-game Protoss Death Ball built.
All right. Well, yeah, Huangson's doing a pretty good job of that. Could go up to a 5th base if he so desires. Still just working off of 64 probes, though. There was actually 58 not too long ago, so was really getting by on the bare minimum of economy and making sure that he had all of his supply allocated towards Army. As we can see, QXE continuing to add on those orbital commands now, can call down so many mules at once, and his economy will skyrocket as a result and can start sacking those SCVs pretty soon.
Yeah, now the thing with QXE that I'd like to kind of call attention to is that he plays in a style very similar to TSL Polt, if you're familiar with that at all.
Yeah.
He tends to get his Ghost Academy much later, tends to rely on a lot of positioning things. The big difference is that QXE sometimes has a tendency to make some of those positional errors, such as that overly aggressive counterattack that costs him a lot of units, whereas Polt generally doesn't do a lot of that. So where QXE now is in a position where his late Ghost Academy might just hurt him, Polt would be, and it looks like he's going to kill a couple probes with this.
No, that was awesome defense, though, by Huangson there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Whoa, what's that Zealot doing?
Where am I? Where am I? You don't see me. You can't see me. You can't see me. I'm everywhere.
That was the weirdest charge ever. But, yeah, so kind of going back to what I was saying, QXE's Ghost Academy, because he wasn't able to really make use of the style he plays in earlier in the game, is just kind of a little bit late, and that's going to hurt him rather than kind of be okay for the style that Polt plays in. So something to kind of keep note of. But I like the style in general. I feel like QXE and Polt are both on the right track when it comes to late game TVP.
Look at this dedication to control. QXE keeping that Marine alive. Yeah, you're talking about the practice paying off. Man, it really has in spades. An additional 4 medevacs were just added. He was really lacking in that regard, was only sitting on, well, 1 medevac, so 5 certainly going to be a lot more worth it. Doesn't have a ton of ghosts with... Okay, there we go. Finally, they were running from the back there, and does have 8 ghosts with the army. Cloaking is finished as well, so he can run up and launch a couple of EMPs. How many Templar out? Okay, 8 Templar to 8 ghosts, so it's going to be a pretty even caster exchange here if their control is on point.
Yep. QXE's played a pretty good game here. The mistakes that he's made have been kind of smaller positional ones, right? I mean, his micro's been good, his macro's been good, but things like that, a big stim where he, thought that there might be a fight but then didn't commit, that's going to cost him a lot. It's just those little errors here and there. Oh, nice feedback. Did trade caster for caster there. Actually, it was a Templar for 2 ghosts, so that wasn't exactly the best trade. But going back to what I was saying, QXE, it's just the very little things, and in a high-level TVP like this, it really is the little things specifically that are going to determine the winners. So QXE has still got a great chance to win this game, but he's got to be very, very careful about every little move he makes at this point in a late game TVP.
Well, QXE has certainly done his work, and none of these games have been cheap. They've all been pretty long. I mean, a longer TVZ on the last one. He won that pretty handily. But, there we go, finally getting that equalization a little bit as he does snipe out a Templar. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. Well done there. Huangson taking control of the Xel'Nagas with his High Templar, but, of course, his opponent has air units overhead.
Yep. Oh, that one Marine not doing a whole lot.
No range yet for the Planetary Fortress, something you'll see in the extreme late game. Oh, very nice job. Just QXE all over the map and doing a very great job at picking off those Templar one by one.
Those
he
little
now
things.
Does have a caster advantage.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, killing a lot of Templar with that. Oh, great EMPs. This may be the time. Is QXE going to commit? Here it comes with a huge concave. Will it be enough? A huge amount of Zealots being warped in. The Storm's hitting a lot of units. Oh, it's so close. It looks like QXE might come out on top, but there's so many Zealots.
That's right. There are so many Zealots, but he did a very nice job of picking up the Colossi very early on. He does have a lot of bio units left over. Huangson now down to just 100 supply. Has to start warping in very quickly, but the greater bank was actually QXC's, and he's able to reproduce his units a little bit quicker. Look at that staggering amount of units being produced all at the same time.
Yeah, making some more ghosts as well. Interesting decision there. I'm surprised he's not just kind of fully dedicating to Marauders because he already has a decent amount of ghosts out, right? I might be wrong. Go ahead and prove me wrong. Hit the unit counting station. 6 ghosts. Actually, that's pretty good.
So he had 3, added 3 more, basically.
Sure. It's a wash, then. We'll just call it that way. Still has a nice supply lead.
Yeah.
Up about 30 supply right now. More like about 50 supply and adding on a couple more command centers as well. Huangson in a position here where he does have 5 bases. Huangson's always been about a base ahead. So when there is a big fight like the one we just saw, even though QXZ won, he doesn't really have the ability maybe to just come in and win the game right there. He just kills the army.
But if he's able to trade like that one more time, he went through Huangson's banked resources in the last engagement. The next time, Huangson just won't have that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's got plenty of bases, and that's a lot of Archons, too.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's some Archons for you.
Huangson does actually like Archons. You tend to see him make a lot of Archons instead of kind of rely on a lot of Templar.
You remember before, like way back when Archons had crappy range and everyone was like, Archons will never be utilized for anything.
Well, they really weren't until the buff. I mean, they were a little bit, but yeah, I mean, extending the range really made Archons a much better unit. Making them massive as well kind of helped too, especially in like PvP. We saw Charge Lot Archon for a little while was a popular PvP strategy. It's still seen on the server pretty frequently.
Wow, QXC's army is caught pretty far out of position from his medevacs. He's actually got to watch out because Huangson's kind of pushing his way through.
Oh, wow. This is interesting. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and he knows the medevacs are there too. He's actually going to take some out.
One goes down. Will he be able to get any more? I think he could have gotten that one right at the end, but yeah.
Now, Huangson's taking a 6th base right now, and this is really going to, if anything is really going to help Huangson win this game, it's going to be the number of bases that he's been able to take. He should still be able to save that one. Those Marines should be cleaned up at some point, but QXC, I mean, he hasn't been expanding quite as aggressively. He's been winning fights, but we're going to go, I've got a feeling we're going to go into very late game TVP, and it really comes down to the bases at that point. Oh, good EMPs again. But will it be enough? Another big fight.
Oh, my God. A ton of EMPs go down. The Archons were just melting up at the front. A couple of storms hitting some of the bio units at the back, though. QXC has enough to be able to stabilize at least for a little while. The Colossus does go down, so the Vikings have done their job. Basically, the perfect amount of Vikings there. And this is the situation I was talking about. Now that the bang for Huangson is down, he just can't reproduce that many more forces, trying to make as many Templar as he can.
That was the luckiest Templar in the world there, right next to QXC's army, and he didn't kill it. It was in the very upper right part of the screen. There it is. The luckiest Templar in the world.
How do you feel?
He's got 0 kills. He's like, I just feel inexperienced.
Yeah.
Those are some dedicated Marines.
Yeah, no kidding. I almost got that Nexus, though, I tell you what.
Yeah, they did. It's quite low here. Huangson in a really tough spot at the moment. I mean, he's got to pick his composition very carefully, but I don't know. It's going to be tough to really take on what QXC has as far as an army go. He's going to have +3 ship weapons. He's got +3 for his bio. And he's been able to get some decent EMPs, but Huangson, with a surprisingly large army, he's still got that good economy.
That's right. Well, the upgrades, of course, have equalized throughout this entire game now, though with the +2 plasma shields is actually something that a lot of Protoss players don't invest in. Late game enough, and it is pretty critical when you're running a lot of Archons like that. There, the Nexus finally does go down, and Zealot falls along with it as well.
Yep, nice snipe there by QXC. Huangson needed that base, too.
Well, 5 more ghosts popping up. That'll give him a total of 6, and he has once again maxed. So QXC just running around with little strike forces. There's a few photon cannons and a couple of Archons up here. We'll see if that's going to be enough.
Hello, Archon. Wasn't really designed to attack for a little bit there.
Yeah, kind of weird. Yep. And, looks like he will be able to save it, though. Pretty good control from Huangson. Oh, picks off a medevac as he goes to the side as well.
Yeah, nice micro by Huangson, keeping that Archon alive. And he still has a pretty scary army in the middle of the map. He's keeping those Templar kind of in the middle now, trying to make them a little bit less prone to being sniped, things like that. QXC trying to take his 6th base on that high ground on the right side.
That's right.
It's got a planetary as well, so that should be pretty well defensive, or pretty well defendable, rather.
58 workers to 58 at the moment, and this base has been mined with nothing but mules, but yet these mineral patches are getting quite low, so kind of interesting to see the sheer macro might of mules there. But the players are almost maxed once again. QXC was ahead by about 60 supply for a good length of time, and Huangson was struggling to be able to reproduce his forces. But now, as you mentioned before, that he is sitting successfully on 3 mining bases, will be able to catch up and is now maxed.
Yeah, Huangson just a little bit low on income right now. I mean, he's spending it as soon as he's got it. He's not being lazy at all about the warpins that he has, but oh man, this is going to be so tough for him. He's going to be able to deny this drop, no problem. I mean, these Zealots are going to be able to kill it. But will he be able to save this base? This could be the defining fight of the game right here.
All right, well, we'll see if QXE has what it takes to close out this game. Oh, a couple of EMPs hitting the Archons once again. Didn't hit as many of them this time. There, finally, the second round does the work that he needs. QXE has his forces cut off a little bit here.
Oh, man.
And he does get stormed at the top as well, so a lot of damage being done.
Wow.
But, you know, QXE soundly loses that engagement, but
no
we see
kidding.
The sheer macro might coming through. He's reproducing 14 bio units at a time right now.
Well, QXE actually made a huge error there, and that cost him a lot. Splitting up that little force to go after that base, Hwang Sin was kind of waiting for it, went in, split the army, handled it easily, and now he's going on the offensive. I think he knows that he needs to get some damage done here. He's been given a golden opportunity. He's been patient the entire time, but will it be enough?
We'll find out. Oh, almost lost that Archon to the Planetary Fortress.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it isn't able to get any damage done. Running up with a couple of probes here to die to some Marauders. That's where it's going.
This is like opposite Hwang Sin playing this game. Instead of being like two-base aggressive Hwang Sin, it's super passive Hwang Sin.
Yeah, that's what we were saying at the beginning, man.
Right.
He has a lot of good looks recently, so able to throw some super macro games out there as well. But once again, QXE just not playing any cheat games as this one goes past 36 minutes.
Yeah, no kidding, man. He's still got such good production here. I mean, it's going to come down once again to the positioning. We're kind of resetting here again.
All right, well, how many Colossi are out? None. It's just almost purely Templar and charge lots for now. That AoE is certainly going to be effective as Hwang Sin tries to take yet another base on the left-hand side of the map.
Reaper speed on the way for QXE. Oh, that is so cool.
Late game Reapers from QXE.
I know. I mean, this is something that he always likes to talk about, his mid and late game uses for Reapers here.
I love
if you can get in, kill a ton of pylons, disable a ton of gateways, kill buildings, can be quite helpful. Another snipe takes out some Templar here. Hwang Sin knocking at the door of that right side base. He wants to get in there and deny that. That's going to be a tough base to kill, though. It's up a ramp into a planetary with an army right there. Well, it's not easy.
QXE just kind of lording over these units on the low ground here. That's actually a pretty significant amount of forces back for Hwang Sin. I mean, that's why 6, 8, 12 supply, something like that.
It's what he needs.
So
that's what it is. He needs that there.
It's very true, but you got to take that out of the equation when the big engagement happens. They may look like they're both maxed, but it's actually about a 12 supply deficit there for Hwang Sin whenever the two armies do finally meet up.
And some nukes on the way as well. QXE just deciding to get kind of anything he can that he might be able to use to get an advantage in this game. This is extreme late game PvP now.
The luckiest Templar in the world is not so lucky anymore.
Oh, well. He wasn't really doing anything anyway. He was just chilling out.
Yeah, was kind of a slacker, if I'm honest.
Hit some ghosts with that storm. Not bad. Oh, and nice feedbacks. Using that on the weakened ghosts. He does kill like 3 of them, I think, before that gets sniped.
Yeah, pretty good job there. Both players are maxed once again. More Templar coming in, and there are 3 nukes just about to finish up. And if he's able to get any of those off, and you're right, he does split up the force once again. Will this time be a little bit more successful? He's able to go through the top right-hand base pretty well. Is Hwang Sin going to commit to this left-hand side? And it looks like he is. We're going to need to see some EMPs very quick. Chain hitting a bunch of those Archons and a few of the units behind as well. Most of the forces stemming up now for QXE, and he is able to take out the front line of forces a lot better. Nukes as well, trying to run back. Will the nuke land?
I think Hwang Sin knows there's a nuke there. I think he knows about it. Oh, QXE wasn't able to take out that base as well. Hwang Sin, again, I feel like even though the supplies don't reflect it, he came out ahead in that fight. I really feel like he did. He was able to kill things a bit more efficiently. QXE actually making a lot of Reapers right now. He's going to try to get in there and kill stuff with these. He has got how many Reapers? He's got 5 Reapers. All right, so we'll have to see what he decides to do with these. He's also got some nukes. This is such a tense game right now. Wow.
Reapers, of course, pretty effective against Zealots as well. I hear another nuke. Oh, looks like it's going to land behind the middle line here for Hwang Sin. Hopefully he's able to pick up on that. Looks like he will lose a Nexus on the left-hand side, so 2 things going on at once. He does get away, though, with those probes, and the Ghost is only going to do a little bit of shield damage.
Now, here's the thing. QXE's Reapers may actually end up backfiring on him. It's such a cool idea, but if they don't do a lot of damage and there's a big engagement, Hwang Sin's going to have a pretty decent army advantage because of the supply used up by those Reapers. Another nuke going down here. Will Hwang Sin see this one?
I hope he does. He was very diligent about the first one.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Yes, Matt Pinger, we see it.
All right, he barely got away that time. That was close. Don't give me a heart attack there. Oh, here come the Reapers, but running right into Stalkers. That is not going to work at all. A huge amount of build time being used by those Reapers that did nothing.
Well,
I love the idea of late game Reapers, but it's so tough to make them work right.
And looks like Hwang Sin decides to reproduce that with just army supply, so it, in effect, just freed up a little bit of army for him. Looks like Hwang Sin sees this, though. The nukes certainly have done quite a bit of damage just in terms of denying mining time. QXE's going to need to drop these forces very quickly, and does. Otherwise, he would have had a lot of that just outright murdered.
Yep.
But we'll be able to start cleaning up a little bit more here. Finally, Hwang Sin jumping in, though, and picking those off. 2 more nukes now on the way.
Yep, that's right. So QXE didn't get a lot done with the Reapers.
We're about to mine out in Tomb Valley.
I think that's a possibility, man. This is one of the craziest PVTs I've ever seen on this map. This is insane.
Yeah.
QXE still trying the Reaper thing. I love this. I love that we're seeing new things here, and this time I think it's going to be a little bit more successful. Only one Stalker there to defend, and wow, look at those probes melt, man.
That is a little ridiculous.
Ouch.
That's a lot of damage being done there. That base basically had the mining just completely wiped out. 49 workers have been killed by QXE. He's now up 58 to 34. Once again, though, Hwang Sin just reproducing with attack units there. Finally now starting to produce a couple more probes.
It amazes me that Hwang Sin has been able to stay in this game for so long. I mean, he is really staying in it. He's not out yet. He's definitely kind of been on the back foot for so long, but he's just been making all the right decisions, just barely hanging on. And QXE, I mean, I still think he has the advantage in this game, but you just can't count out Hwang Sin just yet.
I think he has enough orbital commands he doesn't need to build anymore. Can actually start sacking some SCVs, but he's going to continue with that. He does have such a bank of minerals right now. It's absolutely fine. I mean, he could eventually get to a spot where he can sack all but about 12 of his SCVs, because that's all that'll be mining gas, and then we'll be able to completely reproduce that with army. Oh, he has to watch out there. May lose a couple of his ghosts. One of those does go down.
Ghost for a Stalker? Oh, not even. Wow.
Yeah, Stalker able to get out of there.
I got to say, too, I don't know if Terran players should be quite so eager to ditch their SCVs. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've actually talked to Axlev a little bit about this too, and I think it's actually better to keep SCVs rather than just sack them. Yeah, you have a bigger army, but what happens if you lose all your mules? Your mules go away every 90 seconds anyway.
That's
You're
right.
sort of introducing a mechanic for Terrans that's kind of like Larva Inject for Queen, where if you miss it, you're going to really have a bit of a deficit. That was a brave Zealot giving his life. He'll come back as an Immortal, don't worry. But yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think Terrans shouldn't be quite as eager to ditch their SCVs as they have been in the past, and I think that's the reason why we don't see QXE doing that in this game.
This is so smart. QXE actually dropping down a couple of positional nukes so that he makes his opponent think he's going to go right up to the front. Then he decides to go into the 5th. Will Hwang Sin take the bait and run into the nuke? He's running around the side, though. I don't think it's going to hit him.
Oh, that was close, but the EMPs might hit. Oh, he sees the ghosts.
He does land a beautiful amount of EMPs, though. Virtually none of those enemies have any energy left.
Yep.
QXE does manage to finally clean up this base after so long, but now his forces are a bit trapped. Will he get the engagement he wants?
They are trapped. I don't know if this was worth it for QXE. That base did not really have a lot left in it, and oh man, he's going to lose his entire army right here.
Yes, he is trying to get a little bit of damage done with the Vikings from the side, and he is able to pick off all but one of the Colossi, but now QXE is down by about 40 supply, and he's really going to start reproducing his army very quickly.
That may have actually been the mistake that tips things in Hwang Sin's favor. I mean, he is down in supply, and he will be able to remake things, but it was just such an inefficient trade. He traded basically his entire army for a base that Hwang Sin didn't necessarily need quite as much for the long term, and now it looks like he's going to lose his planetary, too.
That's right. He's trying to repair it up as quickly as possible. He's going to try and nuke right on top of it. Can he keep this alive for long enough? No, but it looks like he will be. Oh my God. Hwang Sin is running right over the nuke.
Oh man, the nuke going down. Oh, he kills the ghost. Beautiful. Beautiful move by Hwang Sin, and now he's on the warpath here. Will he be able to capitalize, though?
All right, well, QXE, he's trying to reproduce whatever he can. Still has those bunkers up from the very beginning of the game, and he can actually use those.
Exactly. This is why you don't salvage your bunkers when you move out. Terran players, pay attention to what QXE is doing right now, because he's been playing great this whole game, except for a few key mistakes, and it looks like Hwang Sin may be able to use that to win right here, right now.
Let's find out. Those all pretty much have full shields. He finally lands a couple of EMPs at the back, hits a couple of the Archons. 2 of those going to fall pretty quickly, but the storms are too good. The production's starting to be camped. This may be all for QXE.
I think it is. I think Hwang Sin's actually got it. Wow, this was probably the best PVT I've seen Hwang Sin play. GG!
Wow!
And Hwang Sin wins a game. Talk about a momentum shift. That is going to do it, if anything will.